Okay, and welcome to this video. So we're going to be talking again about systems, but this time instead of systems of equalities, we're talking about systems of inequalities. So let's do a quick reminder. If you are graphing on a number line, okay, if we're just graphing on a number line, and we have something like x is greater than 3, then we would place a open circle at 3, my arrow going to the right. Okay? If I have x is greater than or equal to 3, then I'm going to put a closed circle on 3 and my arrow will go to the right. So what we're going to be looking at though on these is we're not looking at a number line, we're looking at the coordinate plane. So we're going to be graphing a line instead. And so what we're going to need to remember for lines is that if it is greater than or less than, we need to take and put a dotted line. Okay? Because that dotted line or the line that we draw is called the boundary. Okay? And what that means is that the boundary is not included. Okay? In other words, any point that is on that boundary line is not included in your answer. Okay? And if you have greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, then it's going to be a solid line, which means points on the line are included in the answer. Okay? So remember that. That's a key thing about it. Okay? But then there's also more than just what's on the boundary line, because just like when we did the number line, we say you're going to draw an arrow to the left or an arrow to the right. This is the same way, except instead of drawing arrows, we shade. Okay? So I'm going to just go ahead and jump in and get started here. So the first one that we have, again, you are going to have a slope of a -3, y-intercept of 0, 2. So I'm going to go ahead and get that on there. So 0, 2, slope of a -3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we'll go up, 1, 2, 3, there we go. Now, excuse me, your next step is then to always go back in and look at your sign. In this case, it is just a less than. So I am going to dot my line. Put my arrows on the end of it. Okay? Now my next step is to determine whether I need to shade on the left or on the right. Okay? And the way we do this, again, is by testing 0, 0. So what I'm looking at is I'm actually testing this point right here. I'm saying, is that in my answer? Okay? So I'm going to put a 0 in for both the x and the y. Very similar to how we were doing when we checked our answer on the last one. So this is going to be 0 is less than 0 plus 2. I'll put all the steps in. 0 is less than 2. And that is a true statement. Okay? What that means then is this is true. Okay? Or yes. In other words, that side works. That if it's false, it doesn't work. This is true and it works. And so then what I need to do is I need to shade that side. Okay? So there is my shading. Now that's my first part. Now I'm going to go to my second part, or my second equation. It has a slope of 1 and a y-intercept of 0, -2. So I'm going to go to -2, slope of 1. Okay, again, I'm going to look at the sign. It is just a less than, so I am going to dot my line. Okay, and now I'm going to go in and I'm going to put a 0, 0 test on there. So 0 is less than 0 minus 2, so 0 is less than a -2. That is false. Okay, what that means is now when I'm testing that 0, 0, that does not work. So that means that this here, okay, this question mark, that is false. Okay, which means that then I'm going to go in and I'm going to shade on the other side. Okay, now your final answer, guys, is where you see both graphs. Where did I draw both graphs? Well, I only drew them right in here. So that is my final answer, okay, is that dark spot. Okay, now the other thing to remember, that dark spot is my answer. What is also true is that this is dotted, okay? So make that dark enough so you can see that. Okay, so if I was asking you about a point that is in my answer, okay, anything in here would be part of your answer, okay, anything in there. What would not be a part of your answer is that boundary line, okay? So in other words, if I looked at the point 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, so this point right here is 2, 4, okay, right there, okay? That is not part of the answer, okay? Because again, because my lines are dotted, okay? But I could say that 0, maybe -4 was part of the answer, okay? Okay. But there's tons of answers, millions of answers, because technically everything in here, everything in that shaded area is a part of the answer, okay? Let me do another one for you. I'm going to slide on down to the standard form one. So I'm going to start with this one in standard form. So again, I'm going to let my zeros be. If my x is, or my y is 0, cross that out, then I'm going to divide both sides by 3 and I'm going to get 2/3. If my x is 0, then I'm going to divide both sides by 2 and I'm going to get 1. And then my slope is a -a, so it would be a -3 over b, which would be 2. So I might need that also. So I'm going to go ahead and graph. So I've got 2/3. That's going to have to be an estimate. I've got 0, 1. Whoops. Did that again. 0, 1. And then again, because those are so close together, I'm going to go ahead and use my slope. So I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and left 2. And I'm also going to go down 3 and right 2. Okay? And so draw my line. And again, I guess I should have mentioned it, that this is a equal to, so it's a solid line. Okay, now I'm going to test 0, 0. So that means I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put a 0 here and a 0 there. And that means that 0 is less than or equal to 2. That is a true statement. So I'm going to shade where 0, 0's at. So this is where I'm shading because that's where 0, 0 is located. Okay, now let's go on to the next one. I'm going to do orange this time. So again, let's get my zeros ready. So if y is 0, okay, cover that up, then x would be a -2. If x is 0, y is a -1, and my slope is a -a, so that would be a -1 over b, which would be 2. Okay, start graphing. So I've got a -2, 0. I do that every time. It does not like me. I need to just figure out a way to make my points bigger. There we go. -2, 0, 0, -1. I have a slope of -1/2, which would be, whoops, that does not look, I put that on a 3. Okay, did any of you guys notice that? I put that on a 3. Let me read back here. Let me get that colored back in. And then let me put that back on 2. There we go. And then down 1, right 2. So I hit that same spot. So I do know. And this one now is just a greater than. So it's dotted. Okay, it's dotted. And then I'm going to test 0, 0. So that would be 0 plus 2 times 0 is greater than a negative 2, which is 0 is greater than a negative 2. That is a true statement. So guys, now you got to pay attention. Here's 0, 0 right here, and that's true. So what that means is when I come in and shade, I'm going to shade on this side where the 0, 0's at. So you've got to locate 0, 0. Again, and now I'm going to just look to see where I have both colors. And let's see, I'll use purple. So my answer is going to be in here. This is where I have both colors. Okay. But again, look at your boundary lines. Okay. Because the green boundary line is included, but the orange boundary line is not included, okay, because it's dotted. So what that means is that maybe the point right here, the point 0, 1, that's included in your answer, but negative 2, 0 would not be included in your answer, okay? But an example of something that would be in your answer would be like negative 3, 2, okay? Negative 3, 2, that point right there, see, that would be included. All of those points. And of course, even the decimal fraction points that are in between. Okay? So negative 3, 2 would be a point included. Okay? Now, I don't want to confuse you. I'm actually going to erase that because that might confuse you, that you think that it's just the one answer. There's gazillions of answers, but if I said give me a point that is in your answer, you would say a negative 3, 2. Okay, I'm done with that, so keep working on those, and hopefully it all goes well.